and he's like wearing all his battle armor and the suit and stuff, and he picks up Vickers and pretty much sticks like this mutated like thorn through his mouth, and Brad is dead, and of course you get the option to either fight the monster or leave. Either way, he'll still find you. And the Umbrella has really like upgraded the weapons when they made Nemesis, because this thing doesn't attack you with just its fist. It attacks you with like a rocket launcher.
Yeah, it becomes adaptive to any kind of weaponry around it.
Exactly, because it like scans for stuff to terminate people with.
It's not just a tyrant.
Yeah, this thing is like more. It's smart, but kind of stupid at the same time.
Smart enough for thought and ability to use weapons, but that's about as far as it goes.
But I remember my first time ever playing for Resident Evil 3. I would be in the police station, and holy shit, this thing breaks through a wall, and you're running, and it opens doors, and it chases you.
Yeah.
It's willing to get your ass, and of course you'll get to a certain section, and it'll stop chasing. But
yeah, this is the only character in that game that isn't affected by those slow-ass door openings.
Right. And, of course, we continue with trying to escape through the city, and we meet, I believe they're the Umbrella UBCS?
Something like that.
I think that's what they're called. But the Umbrella Special Forces or something like that. But Jill ends up meeting this guy known as Carlos.
Her Mexican lover.
And Carlos, his mission is to free the people, to help get innocent lives out of the city and, shoot some zombie ass. And speaking, I guess I should just state that the monsters we have in Resident Evil 3 is, we still have the zombies, dogs, there's going to be the most
basic
common.
Zombie. The basic Resident Evil.
And, hunters have evolved some. There's the original ones. You got some that come out of the legs. But, other than that, we'll continue for the game, and then you find out, like, Carlos's team that he's with, which is Mikhail, who's injured, and he has like Vietnam flashbacks, and then we meet Nikolai, and we'll learn more about Nikolai later on, what's his actual plan and stuff like that.
Yeah, his ulterior motive.
And of course, you'll go for the game, and you'll encounter not just the Nemesis, but you'll find like things like a giant gravedigger worm that looks like a penis, and like other bosses and stuff like that. Just
the generic what the fuck monsters.
Right. Like, in my opinion, I don't think 3 had that whole lot of bosses. I think they wanted to focus on Nemesis being the one boss that's like the guy is like, oh shit.
Because you fought him
like
several times.
Yeah, like numerous times.
The amount of times you fight him are equal to all the boss fights you fight in any other game.
And of course, when you have to fight him, because eventually when you guys get this one train up and running, because they think Nikolai's dead, Mikhail like sacrifices himself, and you make your way to the clock tower.
Yeah.
And after doing all this shit you gotta do,
putting the gears in the music box.
To get like these people's attention, the Nemesis appears, being a dick as usual, shoots those people down, and Jill's like, "Oh, you bitch!" And
motherfucker.
And so this is a fight you have to do because you're force field of fire, and so you're in the clock tower's courtyard fighting the Nemesis, and of course, I think determining on how you play the game, because it's one of those games where you can choose how the story goes.
Yeah, it's like one of those pick your own ending books.
Yeah, they give you options throughout the game, like, do you want to go through here, or do you want to do this?
Do you want to fight him, or do you want to jump off the building?
But I think this one like determines, like, so you could either end up having the fight with the rocket launcher, or either determining on how you do the story, Carlos can actually like destroy the rocket launcher by shooting at it. But either way, Carlos gets knocked out of the fight, and Jill fights it, and you're actually infected with the virus.
Yeah, because he does his little tentacle penis thing to you.
After the fight, he's like, "Oh, fuck this," and he just goes off, and Carlos wakes up and takes Jill, rest. Now, this period of time, this is going to take like a whole day. This ends up bringing actual Resident Evil 2 into the whole franchise. And, of course, Resident Evil 2 will begin the next night. And they were following from the first game. You could either play as the boy, Leon Kennedy, who ends up becoming like the next main male character for the series, or Claire Redfield, who somewhat got a semi-role, but I think Jill got more of the bigger female role.
Yeah.
Leon, of course, he's a rookie cop, and he was going to go do his first day of the force at the Raccoon Police Department.
And that's just a day from hell for him.
And I actually did some research last night about Leon, and I discovered the reason why he was late was because his girlfriend dumped him, so he decided to go to a motel, get drunk. So he was so hammered, he missed his actual first day. So that's why he was late.
Nice.
So when he gets there, he's like, what the hell is going on? There's a random body on the road, and the body comes back to life, and all these monster zombie creatures are coming from the alleys.
He has the equivalent of the world's biggest what the fuck moment.
Exactly. And of course at the same time, Claire Redfield enters Raccoon City because she's looking for her brother. And this is and when they both in the city, they end up meeting each other. And of course they get in a police car, and they tell each other who they are, what's their reason, why they're here. And due to an incident of a truck driver who got bit by a zombie, and he's dead, and he's carrying a fuel tank, and when he ends up crashing, and Claire and Leon end up, oh shit, they get out of the car. Of course they're split up from
because of the
fire, and so Leon ends up taking his own path, and Claire takes her own path. It
takes the same kind of form as Resident Evil.
Right, but not like the first one where we won't see the other partner until the end of the game. Because they do both get to the police station. It's just one takes the front way, the other one takes the back way, and then here and there you'll see each other. But of course, just like in the first game, Leon will end up having a partner he ends up meeting, and Claire will have not really a partner, but
a little bitch of a girl to follow around.
And of course, I guess we could go with Leon first, and which ends up bringing us 801.
808!
And the famous 808. And of course, Ada is here at first wants you to believe that she's here looking for her boyfriend known as John.
Oh.
And Leon, believes this.
And the kind-hearted soul that he is.
And so he wants to help her out. And with Claire, we meet people like Chief Brian Irons, who's a real asshole, but thank God he dies. And we also meet a little girl known as Sherry Birkin, who is William Birkin's daughter. She's 12 years old in the game, and
even though she looks like a fucking 8-year-old.
Right. And of course, when the game was first developed in Japan, you know how they get their hands on little girls and turn them into an age that they shouldn't look like.
Yeah.
But anyways, everyone eventually gets their way through the police station, And determine, like, how the game is determined, according to Capcom, the actual story for them is, the correct story is Leon scenario B and Claire scenario A. So it turns out that Leon has to deal more with William Birkin and a tyrant known as Mr. X. And so Leon gets like all the bullshit.
Yeah, he gets all the grunt work.
Where Claire's mostly focused on trying to get this little girl.
She's babysitting.
Yeah. And of course, speaking of the monsters, the newer creatures that we end up... This is like the hunters of the series, or for this game, which is the Lickers. They're pretty much known as zombies who surpass the old zombie stage.
They're the Super Saiyan zombies.
Yeah, where their skin has finally rot off, because you can see like their muscles and their brain, and somehow like their eyes are gone because the brain is covering up where the eyes should be.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they have Lickers in the one of the Resident Evil movies?
Yeah, in the first movie, the actual boss was a Licker.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they were in other ones, too. But, and other than that, it was mostly, still yet again, common monsters, zombies, dogs, that kind of shit. You got even things like crows that randomly would attack you.
Yeah.
But,
as they make their way further through the town, they find themselves in a big-ass laboratory that's owned by Sherry's father,
exactly.
William Birkin. And, like David said earlier, Leon's supposed to be dealing a lot with Birkin as he goes through his many stages of evolution because of the virus he injected. Through wandering out, you play a little bit as Ada, and while playing as Ada, you run into Sherry's mom,
right,
Mrs. Birkin, and she talks about how she wants to save her husband and all this bullshit.
At that point, it's pretty much too late.
Yeah, and they end up holding guns to each other, Ada and Mrs. Birkin.
We could just call her Annette.
I didn't know her name was Annette.
Well, her name is Annette.
Okay. And you have a better memory than I do. You can recount that dramatic cutscene.
Right, well, they just pretty much, like... And that just tells the backstory of Birkin about what happens. And then after that, they just, like, bitch it out between Ada and Annette. And, like, Ada bitch slaps Annette over the edge, and she falls into, like, the sewage water. She survived. But, of course, as they continue through, we discover, you know, Leon starts to fall for Ada and all this other stuff. Why we have, like, as they go for, like, monsters and bosses.
Yeah.
Of course, that's where the crocodile is in.
Yeah.
The crocodile is the easiest Resident Evil boss because you can be a real troll to it by putting like a nuclear device on the ground, and he'll pick it up one shot. Your face
it's
is
like
gone.
a helium tank, and you shoot it, and his head explodes.
Like I think what happens is if you don't do that, you can kill it, but it like technically doesn't die, and it like makes a pathway into the wall, and you'll never see it again. But
it's more dramatic that when you blow it up.
Right. But and then like I know with Claire scenario A, you'll end up finding a different type of version of the G-Unit virus, and
the gangster virus.
And we got Resident Evil 2 really, it was mostly focused bosses wise was Birkin and Mr. X.
Yeah. And that once you board yet another train
to go down to the Umbrella's lab.
Mm-hmm.